barrier to entry is really low, right? Anybody can just start talking to these tools. I think the challenge comes because you kind of need to see someone doing it, in my opinion. I demoed this to my own team at an offsite. Until then, everybody said, ChatGPT is so cool, but it doesn't help my job. And this was people in OpenAI's own finance team feeling that way.
When you say demo this, was it that GPU?
I basically took our GPU process, manual process, and I real-time wrote this Python script and ran it. And you know, the team offsite was like 10 people. It was very low-key. But it was enough to say, oh my God, I can't believe you just did that in front of us right now. And it gave people something to like go try out.
It demystifies it
for
people, totally.
So I'm a, say, Series A finance person. What are like 2 or 3 things you absolutely recommend? I don't have a massive budget.
Yeah.
That you recommend I do tactically.
Like do in ChatGPT, for example?
Yeah.
I mean, like coding your bank activity, coding your expenses. If you know, you're spending a lot of time combing through various GL accounts to find anomalies, you can just feed that stuff into ChatGPT and say, find me T&E that looks off. Then it's just going to ignore any, like, you know, Uber expenses under 20 bucks, it's not going to care about. If it sees an Uber cost for $2,500, it can surface that to you. It's like all the little things that you would otherwise have to, you know, do in a little spreadsheet by yourself, you can have conversations about and get it done much faster.
Asen, how about yourself? What is your recommendation for a CFO just starting out in early stage, or not early stage, but like a Series A company?
Find out and then come tell me. I mean, I think those. I mean, I inherited a lot of legacy systems and processes and that sort of thing. I think if you're building from the ground up, it is more of a blank slate. And so, short answer, I don't have any advice other than listen to my peers who have done this inside of shops in that way. But I guess the other one is to think about, to just bias yourself first towards how can the AI or the agent help me versus I need to go hire for someone. And I think more and more of these recipes, these tools, this sharing will happen that will, I think, accrue to the benefit of companies that are building from the ground up now.
Kunal, how about yourself? What's your advice at the Series A stage?
I would say one is invest early in the integrity of your underlying data, right? Because again, if the data is corrupt, nothing you're going to do is going to be worthwhile. So I think investing in the right underlying data architecture that you can get out. I think the second thing is like at a Series A, you got to just really define like what the scope is of like what the finance team really needs to do, right? Because you're going to be constrained. You know, your team is focused probably on finding product market fit, on scaling. And so I think the challenge is be really clear about like what the mandate of the finance team is and also what it's not going to do. Because I think the trouble you're going to have is if you're trying to be like a world-class strategic finance team with, you know, one person and a CFO or a head of finance and like they're chasing around all these things, it's just never going to work. So I think you got to constrain it and like maybe put some barriers around like, hey, we got to close the books, have high integrity in our underlying accounting numbers, and we're not going to drive a ton of like sophisticated forecasting or underlying, you know, maybe the rigor of what you're doing. So I think it's about applying the constraints of what you can do and then figuring out which of those processes can you automate or at least, again, try to get 70, 80% of the way there instead of replacing all the way.
In your department now, in your function, Kunal, what's one tool you guys can't live without?
We built, there's a tool that I built all the time. Again, I think we have the advantage of having this kind of bigger data team, but we built like a semantic layer on our database. So it's great for me because I can interact with it in like real English, and I can ask them like, hey, how many churn customers did we have in the last 3 months in our SMB segment? How does that compare with last year? How many segments churn customers did we have last year? How many new customers did we add? So I can talk to it like I'm talking to someone on my team, but I don't actually need my team to respond to me. You know, they're just giving me all the answers from that. And I use that tool like multiple times a day. So that to me is like one of my most valuable tools.
Soumya, I guess it's OpenAI all the way through.
I think once you have a team that knows how to use ChatGPT in their work, you can't go back.